Welcome to the Dynamic Company Culture Spotlight podcast. I am David Lindsay, co-founder, lead educator, and speaker at Phantom Leap Education. At Phantom Leap Education, we believe people have so much more inside of them than they realize. And through our services, we help them become the best versions of themselves possible. Beyond the individual, we also believe that company culture is such a large part in creating a business that not only survives, but will thrive through the tough times, as we've all been through the last few years. So over the next 20 to 30 minutes, we'll be shining a spotlight on businesses that have achieved this and how you may be able to incorporate some of their ideas and philosophies into your business. Stick around until the end and I'll reveal how you can become a guest on a future podcast. Now is the time to sit back, take down some notes and enjoy this episode of the Dynamic Company Culture Spotlight podcast. In today's episode, I'm super excited to have Brett Smith as a guest. Not just because I grew up with Brett, but because of his mind, because of what he's done with himself, with his life, with his business. Brett Smith is the founder and CEO of BWS Electrical. So Brett, welcome so much to this podcast. I'm excited for myself and for the listeners.
Dave, thank you for having me. It's absolute pleasure. I mean, who doesn't like talking about business, startup, culture, and just, getting amongst all of it, really. It's great. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, no, my absolute pleasure. And we were having a chat just last week about what you've been through from when you started BWS Electrical, how you started out just as a sole trader, and then you built it up to the point of where you've had to hire a GM and you're in the process of stepping out. Would you be able to explain to us some of the obstacles that you've encountered as a startup?
Yeah, I'd love to. I mean, I started BWS Electrical about 7 years ago, just under 7 years ago, I think. Left a large sort of national, multinational company, couldn't handle the bureaucracy and the bull dust anymore. So I sort of said, if you say you can do it so good, go and do it yourself. And that's basically exactly what I did. And I remember walking out the door from a great company, Stowe Australia. They were a great electrical company. They were very good to me throughout my boxing career. But I was like, that's when the penny dropped. I walked out and I had no real firm clients. I had about 15 grand to buy a rusty old van, and I had 3 kids under 3 and 3 mortgages at that point, actually, to support. And that's when the penny dropped. And yeah, we just started hustling and grinding from the get-go. Taz, my beautiful wife, she was, we had 3 under 3, so she was a home mum regardless. Yeah. She said, listen, that's not what I do. It's not admin, accounts. That's not what I do, but if this is what you want to do, let's do it. So we started at home in a tiny little office that became our 4th whoopsie daisies kids bedroom eventually. But yeah, we started and we're working together, living together, parenting together. It was full on, man. And it was challenging. And finding that degree of separation between your marriage, your parenting, and then your workplace is really, really hard when you live, breathe, and work together each and every day. Yeah, it's too much. And, but you got to do it, man. There's no support. Like startup's hard. Startup is character building. You want to talk about culture and business, anyone that can do a startup from scratch, and I'm talking from scratch, from nothing, with nothing,
literally,
and make it to $1 million, multi-million-dollar turnover, hire staff, employ, office managers, supervisors, general. When you create that from nothing, you get a real sense of gratitude for having the resilience to step in and then just finding your ways and working through the challenges that pop up, and they are real, man. It is hard. I take my hat off to any person in any business that's done it from scratch, because I know where they've been and I know it's not a walk in the park. And anybody that that doesn't give the credit that it deserves just hasn't been there. It's that simple.
Yeah, I was about to say, if you can't give credit, you've never been in the trenches with them. And talk about jumping feet first and putting it all on the line. 3 kids under 3, starting a new business. And what about over the last 2 years? Like we touch base every now and again. I was lucky enough to have you, Brett, speaking on one of my platforms on a speaker's event. And I love the stories that you've got, but how did you really navigate through the past 2 years, especially?
Well, you'd call it 3. Hey, like 2020,
really,
2021, and 2022 have been the ultimate challenge for any person in small to medium sized business. Forget that. Forget even small to medium. Talk about large, talk about multinational. Man, they're folding over every single week. And I'm in construction. So construction, man, has been one of the most challenging spaces to navigate, to do the right thing by your clients, to do the right thing by yourself, to not get burnt time and time again by your builders unintentionally, most of the time, not intentional. No one sets out to go broke. So yeah, it's been for us, we took, on the 6th or the 7th of January, I woke up and got a phone call from a client, a respected builder, a friend, still a friend, and found out they'd ultimately gone into receivership. That cost our business $96,000. That was on the 7th of January, 2020.
And that's a drop of a hat.
Then COVID hit in March 2020. And we're just like, holy shit, like, buckle in, you know. And so I sort of went through the mindset of, listen, you know what? I'm in a position where I can just close the doors and buckle in for 12 months if I have to. Like, I'll just walk away from a factory, work from home, just do what I've got to do to survive and put food on the table for my kids. And that's ultimately how bad you feel it can possibly get when you're in small to medium-sized business. I mean, we had 7, 8, 9 staff at that point. But you've got to realize you're putting food in the mouths and food on the table of those families too. Yeah. So like we changed tack. It was like, it's not in my nature to give up or to quit anything. So we're like, I think it was actually a bit of a dream. Like, it'd been so hectic the last few years in business. It was almost like, you know, what, it'd be nice just crawl under the rug and just you know, see this out and just see what happens. Yeah, just take a deep breath. But it didn't happen that way. We retargeted our audience. We stepped right out of the commercial space, which is where we got hit pretty hard by the builders going bankrupt. We stepped out of the high turnover new home space and just really targeted small clients, the Mr. and Mrs. Joneses. We gave them all the opportunity to upgrade their working from home scenario, air conditioning, solar, your electricity's going through the roof. Let's get you COVID ready for data, communications, working from home, all these kinds of, and it was just a matter of changing tact and stepping out of your own head and saying, what have I got to do to survive this? And how can we do this while still providing value and an opportunity that people are going to need and want? And how can we do that? And that was what we did. We just targeted small works. We stepped right out of, yes, it was a lot more top heavy with the, you know, the quoting, the talking, the liaising with what we're used to just having 4 or 5 guys on site doing a commercial building of $1 million to doing 100 jobs a month of, you know, 100 split systems, some solar, some data, the liaising, the communication with small works clients, the Mr. and Mrs. Jones is not quite happy with everything or really happy and want to pay you cash, don't want to pay you cash, all those little things but that's what got us through. Ultimately, that's what got us through 2020. 2021, things started to bounce back. There was some stimulus and all that, I guess, that started feeding money into the economy. And you know, the lockdowns like that we were essentially, essential services through most of that. So we're able to kind of operate through a big portion of that. And I feel really, my heart goes out to retail, you know, hospitality, those places, they were hit a lot harder, you know, like we had to change tact in how we did business they weren't able to do business. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I take my hat off to those people that have managed to somehow survive and get through that. And I know a lot of those people, and my love goes out to them. My heart goes out to them more than people like myself in construction. Well, we weren't in construction; we were in small works at that point. But yeah, I mean, the stimulus kicked in, and then the momentum come back into the
building
country,
sector.
to the world. The world opened back up, and then whether the governments did it intentionally or not, we're not here to create conspiracies, but whatever the purpose behind it, they've now overstimulated an economy, and now we can't even reel it back in. Now it's just gone completely insane. So surviving 2020 and 2021 was a challenge on itself. Now surviving 2022, where you've got construction costs, now our builders are folding because you've got too much work and they can't provide the supplies, or the supply costs have gone through the roof with these fixed price contracts. And it's been a really, really tough space. Like, you knew me in 2019. There's no way I had this many grey hairs.
Talk about from one extreme to the other.
And it's just having the grit and the resilience to go one more round, Dave. I've got a background in boxing, and like partly boxing, many backgrounds, but I was a professional fighter, and it's always that saying of just bite down that mouth guard and just keep punching. Like, you just got to go one more round, and you're in the trenches. You're in the middle rounds. You've got, and then you're in round 10, 11, 12, and you're in the championship rounds. That's where I feel we are now. We're in the championship rounds. We're not there yet, but we just got to keep punching. We're winning the fight. Just can't get knocked out in the last rounds.
Keep the hands up and keep moving.
Keep your head moving. Keep fighting. Don't do anything stupid. Stay smart. Keep your chin in and keep punching, man. And like that's where I see 2022. I really feel that if people can survive this year, and not only survive but thrive through this.
Yes, exactly what you've done.
Nothing will stop you.
Yeah,
so that's
a great way to look at it, because I believe as well that we all get tested, but we can have the good times, but it's when we have the tough times that that's when we really learn about ourselves. And I've been lucky enough to watch Brett fight quite a few times and see him hold up the championship belt. And I also played rugby league alongside Brett as well. So we shared a lot of experiences. And we were talking before we got on as well about neither of us are the biggest characters. Brett's an extremely big character, but we're not the biggest
small guy
stature-wise. We're not the biggest stature-wise, but we make up for it with grit and determination. And is that something that you really make a conscious effort and decision on to instill within your company culture?
Mate, like, that's what we come on here for. Like, you and me can get carried away in any direction in conversation, but ultimately the culture is detrimental to any successful business. And I don't care what level or size you're at. Like, I've got now, I don't know, I think we're at about 12 staff. So we're not huge. We're not some multinational. I don't pretend to be.
But it still affects everyone.
Yeah, but culture is like, so every Monday, if it's not a Monday because of the workflow, every week we'll sit down and have a toolbox, and everyone, maybe not the first year, which I should take that away. So he should have the same, but he's still a first year, man. He's there to listen and learn.
Yeah.
But ultimately, every single person in our company is encouraged to contribute to something that will add a level of quality, something that can be done better, value to the business. And that is always accepted with open arms by me, ultimately by me, the head of the business, the managing director, the general manager, the stock taker, the admin,
all these hats.
Yeah. But ultimately, I think that's leadership. That's leadership 101. That's being able to walk your troops into battle, but still listen to them and still support them through their own challenges. And I think by giving your team an opportunity to talk and to communicate with you and take on board, and always make it really clear, listen, guys, I want you to contribute. I want you to bring stuff to this table, to this business that can better us and better you and make your working life a more enjoyable one, because ultimately I want to keep you. Everyone in my team I care about, I want to keep. And if they're happy, it's a better business for it. You know what I mean? And again, it comes back to leadership, though. Like, ultimately, you can all have your contributions.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I make those choices.
Yeah.
Bring it to the table. Let's talk about it. If we can make it work, let's implement it. If we can't, it's a firm no. And I'm sorry, but that's what leadership takes. You need to be the
Yes.
one that says yes, no, maybe. Let's walk forward together.
Yeah.
You know?
And what I love about that as well is like knowing the difference from leadership to dictatorship as well. Because as you say, leadership is allowing, because ultimately my background is sports, that it's a team. Yes, you're the coach of the team, but having the feedback from the players there, because they can see things from an angle, they're up close to it that you may not be able to see it. And that's what I've found a lot of people, especially, you know, the bigger the companies get, the further away the CEOs or bosses get from the ground floor staff. And I don't know whether it's arrogance or what it is, but they don't like being told what to do or how they may be able to do it better.
Yeah, listen, I've always accepted, like I won't accept criticism from staff. I'll accept a constructive criticism. I'll
Constructive,
accept
yes.
ways to do
Constructive
things
statements.
better. But I can understand, like when you talk about the bigger corporations, like we've never been that, you know, like I think we're at capacity, we're at 14 staff, but I do understand once you implement general manager or even supervisory roles, and you start to get a little bit removed from the day-to-day sort of flow of things,
Yeah.
it is easy to fall out of touch with just how long things take, just what, you know, the flow of things, expectations, they do get a little bit washed out. And that's something that I've experienced because I've had a guy that finished up in January, and a good staff member, went to the mines, and good luck to him. And that was great, but he was doing a lot of my day-to-days, and it wasn't, I had probably different expectations then. And then I got thrown back in the trenches and I took it all on. This year's been massive for me because I've had to rebuild how I wanted things from the ground back up. And it's taken a lot of energy, a lot of my time, but it's put me right back in touch. And I don't think I was ever out of touch with my compassion for my staff and my business. I might have been out of touch in their perspective with how maybe I presented myself to them. Maybe they didn't understand how much I cared or how much I wanted the best. But I think now when I've been back in the trenches with them, they see it. They see that I'm stressed. They see that I'm working hard to make their life better. Well, I hope they do, you know. And I think the nature of the culture in our business and the way people turn up, even with the tougher days, I think my staff right now are working harder than ever, and I hope that they're happier than ever because it's just the nature of being short-staffed, massive shortage in resources and construction staff throughout the whole country. You know, none of us are doing the big days intentionally. Sometimes just shit's got to get done, you know. But yeah, you talk about culture, but like for me, I think something I've learned more and more as years have gone on, and I didn't know this at first, and I do apologize openly for my staff that worked for me early in the days because, you know, you start, I'm just like a bull at a gate man at life, you know, like I just do life loud. I do
it hard. Yeah,
I do life passionately. I want to be up to my eyeballs in whatever I'm doing, you know, it's I'm all in, you know, but you got to realize not everyone lives that life. And like, you know, not treating or expecting people to be like you or to treat or expect them to think about your business like you do. Like not everyone wants to take that shit home with them. Like, you know what I mean? Like they come to
because it's
work
your baby.
Yeah, they're coming to do a job and a really good job, and they might do things different. And that's okay. And it took me quite a few years to sort of get my head around, like, and I openly admit to any of my staff that worked for me those early days, like I say to them now, I'm sorry, you know, like I'm sorry that I was that guy, but that's just me.
But that's maturity.
It is maturity in business, and you learn when once you've had staff, once you've learned those mistakes a few times around, like you don't do that stuff intentionally. You don't intend to burn staff out. You don't intend to hurt their feelings. You don't intend to you know, whatever. You're just out there doing the best you can with the knowledge you got, you know. The old saying of do what you can do until you know better, then do it better. Like that is so true. We're all forever learning, forever growing. And, you know, I think it's really important to respect your staff's values and opinions and
Yeah.
take that on board. And, and if you can, and your business can be okay, it's okay to try and implement some of them to support them, to make them feel like they're adding value. Even if you don't totally resonate with those views, if it can bring sort of more calibration, more peace within the brand, and it's even if it's not necessarily productive to the company, but it's not unproductive. It's not a bad thing, but it gives a level of
ownership, almost
a level of contribution, a level of personality to the brand. So embrace that shit. Let them bring stuff that makes them feel like they're part of it. That's important, man.
100%. Because when you get that buy-in as well from the workers, if they see you implement something, they just get so excited and go, man, they're now no longer just an employee. Because they've implemented it, they're part of the business.
100%. They're bringing value, man. They're bringing their value. They're bringing their values, which is huge. It's huge for anyone. Like, that's what's the old saying? Like, being in startup or whatever. I hate the word entrepreneur because I think it's horseshit.
It's overused.
But I think it's entrepreneur. That's somebody that really works. Like they're an entrepreneur within a business. Like they are built to be an employee. They love it.
Yeah.
They want to be the best employee they can be. They want to be. You want to
Get them
invoke that.
in.
Yeah, you want to energize that. You want to stimulate that so that they enjoy coming to work and being guided and directed and led, but they want to be led. They want to be. They want a leader to lead them into battle. So
100%.
whatever you can do to try and stimulate that within people working for you can only be a good thing.
Because they're the sort of people that we need in business, because not everyone is there to be a startup. Not everyone there is to be a CEO. Not everyone is there to be a general manager. We need people at the different levels. And like you said, when you get those people, they're like the dog chomping at the bit. They're ready to go. They just need to be led in the right direction, and then you can let them run.
Yeah, just
those are the type of employees that you want.
100%, mate. That's we've got a couple of them, man. We often say, if only we could duplicate them or triple them. It's, the last thing you want is an entrepreneur working for you, because they just come in and try and rob and change things and take clients with you. So you want the people that you just want to embrace those people, and it's not easy finding them, to be honest. It's in this day and age, it's there's no staff out there. Finding good ones is a really, really that's the next challenge in business at this point. It's not finding the work; it's being able to support the work that you found.
Yeah, because like you said, you guys are running big days anyway, and that's what this is all about: is giving little tips, bits of advice that you've learned as well, and that other people have learned, in order to have the culture where people, they want to stick around. They want to run into the trenches, or run from the trenches into the warfare alongside of you as well. And something that you also said that one of the other guys has said earlier on, Richard, was that you want to be their last CEO. You want to be their last boss, because they just want to stay. They want to choose
100%.
to be and work for you.
100%, man. And that is so true. Like where I'm at this point, like I'm trying to scale the business so that they don't ring Brett. And it's not that I don't want to take the calls. I want the brand to represent my values, but the people within it, there's people in my business that they ring the office asking for them. They don't ask for me. They've never met me. No. I mean, I don't mean that badly. I mean that.
But that's how you want
that greatly. I mean, that's fantastic. Like there's certain staff within my company that the office, they've never met me. They wouldn't know that BWS Electrical is Brett Williams-Smith. Everyone thinks it's a bottle store. Like if they don't, they ring and ask for a particular staff member because they ring in time and time again. And that is culture. That is you implementing your values into a brand, them embracing them and putting their own spin on it and taking that out to the world. And now that's beautiful.
That's what you want.
That is magic. That is culture for me.
100%. And like we spoke about on the phone, 2 or 3 weeks ago, where you don't want to create mini Bretts. You don't want to create them. You want people to come in and, like you said, embrace the culture that's there, then put their own little spin on it, create their own magic.
100%, man. Like, we just engaged a general manager, and that's by no means like with some huge corporation. I just want to work within the company. I want to work for the company. I want to work on growing the company, and ultimately not be bogged down by the day-to-days of managing the people, the scheduling, the invoicing. I want to be able to step back and work on it so that my clients feel like they matter, because right now they don't matter. It's not that they don't, but I'm so busy trying to do this, do that, rob Peter to pay Paul with your time and time management, that you don't get time to give the people that matter to you, that have helped build that business, the time that they deserve and the thanks that they deserve. Like we've engaged the general manager so I can try and do more of that next year, amongst other things. I want to do other things, but a big part of it is having enough time to work on the business, not in the business. And, we've engaged the general manager, and he's nothing like me. And that is awesome. There are values. No, it is, man. Like, I'm so spontaneous, so off the cuff, and I use the word, and I'll address it when I say it, so fractured, but I always sort of fix the word when I say fractured, because fractured being broken, but I'm not broken by any means. My mind works in so many different directions, so many different times.
Because I like to think of it
very, very complex.
Branch out.
There's a lot going on in there. And I don't want that kind of guy running my company. I want someone structured, somebody who has structure and does things in an orderly fashion, not just drops everything at the last minute and makes it happen. Because, that's what I do. I make shit happen. But
that's your speciality,
it's not the way to run a business. So he's been engaged to bring structure into the field for the last 3 months. Then the next 3 months, he will step in and bring a bit more structure into the background. And then ultimately he will take some general control over the whole thing in January, and I can focus more on providing value in what I'm good at, dealing with people, being the face of the business without having to come home and drag all the crap with me. Got some of the background doing all that stuff that needs to be done better. So, and that's getting back to your point was, I don't want someone like me. He's nothing like me. He's going to bring better value to the business in which it needs, so I can do me. You know?
Yeah. So you can go out and, like you said, you can listen to the customers again instead of being your head all over the place.
Yeah.
Be there with the person in the here and now, not worried about what's going on here, what's going on there. And like you said, that's also, I say like you said, because again, we spoke about this a while ago, the difference from being a business owner to operating in the business.
100%. It's a trap, man. It's a trap that we all get stuck down that rabbit hole of life, startup, business. Like you got to be all in, man. And when you're all in, you don't answer that phone because you got to get that job done because you've got to be somewhere else tomorrow. And that's it. Or you're at that quote and you're looking straight through their eyes at the back of their head to the next job and not giving them the time and love they need because you got to be somewhere, man. And that's part of being caught up in small business. And it's not an easy balance. It's not easy to find the answers. Sometimes you just got to bite the bullet and go, I won't swear on your podcast. I don't know who's listening, but sometimes you just got to go stuff it. I'm biting the bullet. I'm engaging somebody to do this. And so it started for me when me and my wife were operating in the spare room in my home. I said, stuff it. I'm getting an apprentice. I can't do this anymore. And then it went, stuff it. I'm getting Richie. Richie's my best ever employee who was my apprentice 15 years ago. I'm getting it. And he started, we had a trading apprentice. And it was like, stuff it. These boys won't hang around much longer if I keep making them work 60 hours a week. We're getting another trading. Then we're getting another apprentice. And ultimately, then we're getting a foreman / supervisor who spends half his time on the tools, half his time in the office. And then ultimately, Taryn doesn't want to be here anymore. And this is affecting our relationship. We're getting an external admin. And then the external admin doesn't work and you bite the bullet and get an office manager, and now I've got an office manager that honestly runs that back end part of my business with her eyes closed, and I wouldn't know what she does half the time because she's so good at it.
But that's what you want.
Yeah, that's right. But that's given her free reign to run that part her own way with my management. I manage her to do her job well, but I don't manage how she does it. I manage I manage to make sure the job's getting done, to make sure we're ticking all the boxes, to make sure I'm happy. I don't question how she does it. I just question, are the invoices done? Have you contacted the staff? Is it scheduled? Did you pay the staff? Do we need more staff? And ultimately, that gives her free reign. And now we have another admin helping her. And to be honest, the office manager said, I don't want anyone else, because she didn't want to let go of certain parts of the business. I said, Tracy, probably should mention her name, whatever. I said, Tracy, you need to I need you doing this, more of this. These are my clients and they know you. I need you to give them their full attention. In order for you to do that, you need some support in the back end with payroll, invoicing, data entry, all that. So we brought on another office staff, so we've got another admin, and then all of a sudden, ultimately, we can't manage. So we brought on a general manager, and so it goes. And hopefully by the idea of me stepping out of doing all that, I can then let the general manager do all that part, and I can then hit the road and start really getting aggressive with winning people with what I'm good at, and promising things I can deliver, and providing value to people face to face, because I'm good at that, So that's. Yeah.
And because I love that, because you've just given us a rundown of the evolution, over the space of just 2 minutes, evolution of being in the trenches, doing it all by yourself, getting a partner on, and just the growth of it. I love that it's not worried about what's going on, but bringing people on board. You're not doing it all yourself, nor should you do it all yourself, because that's what separates and allows you to grow the business, which helps everyone at the end of the day.
100%. And if I can say anything, if there's anyone behind me, coming through, because I'm by no means at the end of my journey, I'm learning every single day. But the one thing I have learned is that it's never the right time. It's never the right time to get an office. It's never the right time to hire admin. You can never afford it. There's never enough money. There's never enough cash flow. There's always a belief system behind the structure of your mind stopping you from growing. It's called your ego. So it's always there trying to keep you safe, but at the same time, it is stopping you from growing. And if you don't put a stop to that shit and put a nail through that ego briefly, it serves a purpose in our life. All these parts of the mind, they all serve their purpose. They all have to be there, but you got to know when to reel it in. You got to know when to step in your own authority, in your own consciousness, and go, no, I've got to take action here. And I've got to give credit to my brother Jason, who said, dude, I'm like, we can't afford an office manager, can't do it. He's like, dude, it's way cheaper than a divorce. He's like, so mate, true. You can't work with your wife. You can't work like that in side by side. It's going to affect your relationship. It's going to affect the love for each other. It's not worth it. Work and business is not worth your life, your relationships, your children, none of that. And it's so true, man. That's, if there's one thing I could just say, that, just get out of your own head long enough to step back and go, you know what? Is it the end of the world if I just bite the bullet and hire someone? If it doesn't work out, you can always go back to where you were. Is it the end of the world if I hire that office manager and just give it a go? Is it the end of the world if I hire that? Is hiring that factory going to send me bankrupt and make me lose my home? Okay, let's not do that. Is it going to set me back if it fails and I've got to go back to working from home and sort of regroup and restructure? Yeah. So what, if that's the case, if that's the ultimate loss, is that you just got to go back and doing things how you were by stepping into your own authority? Step up, man. Step up to yourself. Step into your own authority and just go for it, man. Just give it a crack. Have a shot.
Because it's that calculated risk as well.
Go for the knockout, mate. Go for the knockout.
Well, definitely, and that's what you're best at, and you have been the whole time that I've known you, since we were in year one kindergarten at school.
Babies, man. It's just 5 years old.
Oh, it's been insane. But it's getting in and having a go. Like I'm as you guys know, I'm little, but Brett's littler than me. But he was a beast on the football field. He was a beast in the boxing ring. He's done stuff that people wouldn't even dream of. Traveled around the world, skydiver, a scuba diver, business owner. And you can't do that if you don't have the right mindset.
Yeah, man, mindset is key. It's it's something. It's so simple, David. There are so many simple actions you can do every single day just to retrain, and it doesn't matter where you're at. We're not all born with untapped energy. I get that, but you can learn things to change where you're at in life. You can. There's always room for change. I don't care how old you are, whether it be diet, weight, physical, sport, mindset, depression, addiction, you name it, man. It is all a human experience. These are all things, every single thing in our life. Very few things are DNA based. Very few things can't be. Most things are learnt, are human behavior, and they're learnt behaviors. That's why, the lower socioeconomic remains in there, because it is bred into them through cycles of trauma, through cycles of bloody poverty. These are bred in cycles. We're all born the same. You take that kid out of poverty and put him in upper class society, and or give him a higher education, higher access to better things, you watch them thrive. So it's really important. Like, that's hopefully my next phase and journey in life is to help and support that part of people's journey,
because that's sort of where, like, because I know that you've done a lot of courses. I know that you work a lot on yourself, not just physically, but also mentally as well, both for boxing, for business, and for life as well. And that I know that we were speaking about it, that's where you want to go into, potentially into whether it's business coaching, life coaching, just basically success coaching, really, when it comes down to mindset.
100%, man. But I've got we've got a whole other podcast to talk through here in relation to,
and we will do that.
Yeah, 100%, man. Like when you talk coaching, like, I'd like to branch next year into spiritual, mental, and physical coaching, because my spirituality has played a detrimental part in me building my platforms. And there is a massive gap between business, sport, performance, when it comes to getting in tune with your consciousness, getting in tune with your higher consciousness, your true self. You get in line with that. You talk to yourself. You want to talk to your higher consciousness every morning at 5 a.m. like I do. You get the results I get. You want to talk into tuning in and changing the results, bending reality. These are all things that are real, man. These are manipulating reality is a really, really easy thing to do. You just got to tell yourself the same thing each and every day. Like, there are so many basic techniques to reprogram the subconscious mind. Will it bring you internal peace and happiness? Maybe not, but it will definitely bring you success. Okay. So the whole coaching space is huge, but whether it be addiction, whether it be spiritual coaching, whether it be mindset coaching for performance as an athlete, whether it be business startup and business coaching and business development, all these things, there are so many moving parts in the coaching space. But ultimately for me, there's a certain overall blanket and overall writing factor, and that is the spiritual connection to yourself. There's got to be peace and happiness. And if you need to find that peace and happiness within you, because if you do, the rest becomes easy. Really easy. Like, it's, success isn't governed by finance for me, not anymore anyway. Like, it's governed by, it's not because I'm not one of those preachers, don't worry about money, just be happy.
Necessary.
But I mean, like, money's like, it's a necessary part of life. So without it, life's really, really fucking tough. Life can be really challenging without it. But I mean, when you get to a point of being connected to self, the money part starts to come easy.
It looks after itself.
Yeah, you don't have to focus on it. And like,
Yeah.
these things present themselves, opportunities. Like I've stepped into the property development space. That wouldn't have happened if I wasn't in alignment with my values at that point in time, and I wasn't acting in my truth, and I wasn't authentic to myself, and I wasn't able to recognize other good people around me. So, you start to gravitate to the people that you want to be like. You mirror people, you attract people that have the same values and the same goals as yourself. And that happens when you're in alignment in true self,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a big conversation, man.
Yeah,
Like,
because we'll have you on another podcast that will concentrate specifically on that side of things, because time is starting to run out. And we can just talk the hours.
100%, man. I love it. It's easy.
Yeah, it is. And like you said, when you find yourself, it all just tends to flow. Like this just flows. All of it just flows once you find yourself and once you're comfortable with yourself. You've broken down those walls.
Yeah. Yeah, man. And that's like we go on like it's a forever moving beast. It's forever learning, parts of us are at peace. Parts of us have got things to fulfill. Like it's, there's no right or wrong in the journey. It's just a matter of picking something you want to be better at and finding ways to be better. And I mean, mindset is a great, I love it. I love the idea of just achieving things that I don't think are achievable to myself when I start and then go, no, everything is achievable. There's nothing that can't be done. Now I've got to go and do it. You know?
Because you look at us, both of us back, 20 odd years ago when we were at school. I did a video this morning where I go, man, like I was a shy kid at school. Like I wouldn't have been able to get up, talk in front of a camera. I wouldn't have been able to get up and talk in front of 200, 300, 1,000 people. You wouldn't be able to run a business. You wouldn't be able to coach people, but yet it's that evolution as well.
100%,
and it comes from there.
100%. All comes from the mind.
Yeah. So, and Brett, as we start to wind up, who would be your ideal client from the listeners? And also, where can they get in contact with you? Because I'm sure after this, lots more people will want to get in contact with you.
Oh, that'd be awesome. Yeah. I mean, you can find me on any of the major platforms. Brett W. Smith on Instagram, Brett W. Smith on LinkedIn, Brett W. Smith on Facebook. It's pretty easy. Don't forget the W, I guess. But my ultimate client moving into 2023, like I said, my tact will be slightly different to probably a lot of coaches. I'd like to focus on spiritual, mental, and physical well-being. So, but it doesn't have to be any of that. You might come to me and go, listen, I want to make $1 million in 12 months. What have I got to do? Okay, what have you got? Where do we start? We just start, or you might come in and be not performing in a sport-based background, whether it be boxing, football, netball. We're looking to coach out my daughters next year in netball. So I'm really looking forward to working with young people, because that's where the change is. That's you're helping make the change for the future before the adult belief systems get in their own way. So that addicts, mate. Like, I mean, man, I've suffered addiction. Like, I spent my 19th birthday in rehab. I've battled addiction from a young developmental age. And, although I'm well and truly on top of my life these days, like, it's a thing that I'm conscious of every single day of the week. I love to have a good time. I love to have a beer. So I'm not going to pretend I don't. But I need to keep myself in check, and my wife keeps me in check. Like, hey, so I'd love to offer support, because I want people to realize that you can have success, you can have happiness, you can have peace, and still be vulnerable, and still be capable of messing up, and still not be perfect, and still not have all your shit together. We don't all have our shit together all the time. We're human, and that's important in the business culture. Sometimes you fly off the handle, sometimes you have a brain snap. I'm human, man. I stuff up too. So my perfect audience would be anyone who wants to better himself in any way, physical, spiritual, and mental. I mean, I've got run from the boarding mindset. I've got a deep connection to self, and spiritual connection to self. And I've got a whole lot of like I said, that I've got a whole program in mindset. I've got a whole program in finance. I've got a whole program in spiritual connection. So there are no perfect clients. Everyone's a perfect client. Anybody who wants to better themselves in any way, shape or form, I believe 2023, I can help you. So,
So get in contact, because that's exciting times. And like you said, from the depths of a rehab through to successful businessman.
100%. Everything in between, because it's done it all, man.
I love it. And Brett, I just want to say thank you very much for being such a great guest. And we will have you on a future podcast because there's so much more to discuss with you. But Brett, thank you very much for spending the time with us and the listeners.
Thank you. Thank you to the listeners, Dave. I look forward to chatting again, mate. All the best.
Thank you so much for listening to the Dynamic Company Culture Spotlight podcast. If you're a successful Chief Operations Officer, Human Resource Manager, or someone that runs a successful business that also has a great company culture, and you believe that you have a story to share with the wider community and would like to be a guest on a future podcast, please visit the link below. Or if you can think of anyone who you know would be a brilliant guest on this podcast, tag them in. And as always, feel free to share this far and wide. The further we can get this podcast, the more impact we can have. So don't forget to share this on all social media platforms and help others along the way. Don't forget to tag the DCCS podcast, as I love seeing your posts and guest suggestions. As we post regularly, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss episodes that will possibly help your business ramp up to a whole nother level. Your ratings and reviews go a long way to helping us get recognized and to promote the show. And they mean a lot to my team and I. If you want to know more, go to our website, www.phenomleap.com.au, or follow me on LinkedIn and feel free to message me there. Thank you very much for listening, and we look forward to giving you more tips on next week's episode.